Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Um, this is Sabers50. I'm an avid jet player. Most of you jet pilots know who I am, probably. At least I hope you do. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, especially in this game, and that's jet battles. Now, I know many people have their opinions on jet battles and how to fix it. I have a little different opinion. Not a little different, a lot of... my opinion is very different, shall I say. Jet battles in this game, and keep in mind this is a game, I'm open to that, but like, it's supposed to be semi-historical. The World War II portion in this game, the years 1940 to 1945, I mean, they're at least semi-historical. The jet era, at least at top tier, 9.0, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's special. It's a 4-year time period, 1950 to 1953. And the reason why I say it's special is that when you talk about the Korean Air War, what are the two planes you hear about, or jets, you should say? This thing, not even this thing. You hear about this thing. The 50 cal Sabres. You know, the backbone of the U.S. Air Force back then. You hear about this thing, the A5 Sabre, what started it all, and the F Sabre. So what you hear about the Allied side. Now what do you hear about the other side? I don't have the Russian MiG, so I'll just show this one. You hear about this. The Russian MiG-15. I know this is the German one, but bear with me. That's what you hear about. And a lot of people in Jet RB they want to improve it. They have all these fixes, and basically they say, "Oh, let's add additional aircraft," and hopes that something will be fixed. That's false hopes at best. Name me one time in this game's history where adding aircraft actually helped something. Historically, at least. Nothing. You can't name one. Why? Because there were the only two nations that you actually heard provided a significant, mind you, Air Force. An air presence. I'm sorry if this triggers any German players, at least in top tier. But the CL-13 didn't come out till 1956. Or 57, I may have my facts wrong here, but it's a Sabre. A later Sabre. That's supposed to be performing way better than it is now. It was supposed to, at least in Gaijin's words, bridge the speed gap. Correct me if I'm wrong, but 2 years later we have the MiG-17. I'm pretty damn sure that the MiG-17 bridged the speed gap. And like I said, I'm sorry that if German players get offended at this video or this rant or whatever it is. The CL-13 did not participate in the Korean War. I don't think the Germans, unless I'm wrong, participated at all. When it comes to air power, at least. I get this is for fairness and stuff, that the CL-13 is in game. But at least what Gaijin could have done when the MiG-17 was added, and I know this is like old news, but this has been boiling in my mind for at least a year now. At least what Gaijin would have done was to move the CL-13 to the Allied side. Why? Because it's a Canadian aircraft fighting for what? West Germany. That should be on our side. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm trying to have fun in jet battles, and the thought of flying a saber shooting at another saber. Where's the fun in that? I'm destroying my own kind. German MiG pilots have the same problem. What's the fun in having battles where you fight Russians? In a German MiG-15, you're basically fighting the same aircraft. What's the fun in that? Most of us who joined 9.0, at least back in the day, 1.35 or whatever it was, saw, hey, the Americans have the F-Saber. And the Russians had the MiGs. Granted, the 17 wasn't there yet, but hell, the MiG-17 came in later war. It did not play a significant role. And if it did, it played a minor role. But most of us played top tier for the sole purpose of getting in that saber or getting in that MiG and having that absolute fun time. Y'all remember what I'm talking about. Before the F-Sabers were in game, it doesn't matter how much the saber pilots were having their teeth kicked in because they were forced to use the A-Sabers. Now, don't get me wrong. I supported the addition of the F-Sabers, and I know we're going way back in the patches. But the thought of fighting a MiG-15 in your F-Saber or A-Saber was magical. When you got a kill with a MiG-15 on a Saber, you were proud of it. You achieved it. You achieved something that many MiG pilots back in the day had a very difficult time doing. Because the MiG-15 wasn't exactly designed to fight F-86s. It was designed to take out bombers. What's with the big armament? You know, the Twin 23s and the Single 37. I don't think those are fighter guns. Or at least tailor-made to fight enemy aircraft. But we have to make do what we have. So I think that's the problem. Sorry. When the CL-13 came in and was fighting against us, the Allied side, everyone was complaining. Oh, the CL-13 was so overpowered. First of all, now looking back, why did the Germans need a top-end jet again? They had the MiG-15, I think, at least. Yeah, they did. Using the fact that you need a speed advantage over the Saber is kind of like saying you need a speed advantage to fight a 262 in a Mark 22 or Mark 24 Spitfire. You obviously don't. The Spitfire Mark 24 is a markedly better plane. At least by someone who knows what he's doing, at least. Those Hispanos don't lie. Then when the Brits got the Hunter. Now I understand. I understand why they got the Hunter. I supported the idea of it. You know, let's get the Brits a 9.0 jet. All right? They truly needed it. They only had Meteors and a Venom. Granted, they were good if you knew what you were doing, but they legit needed a 9.0. A solid 9.0. The Hunter was the answer. I had no problems with it. Nada. Zip. Zero. But then I realized I did have a problem with it. And I know this isn't going to be changed or anything. But me and my friend were talking the other day about how jet battles were never going to be the same again. Why? Because of the variety of aircraft. I mean, like I said in in the beginning of the video, you hear about this thing or this thing, both twin sabers, fighting this thing. You didn't hear about this thing fighting this thing. And if you did, they were few and far between. Either that or I'm severely misinformed. But point being, jet battles were supposed to have a special place in the community's heart. I know there are some players that left the game undoubtedly because of this. Because 9.0 will never be the same again. I think in my friend's case, it was the CL-13. I could be wrong. But War Thunder has a problem when it comes to complaining about 9.0 and saying that adding even more faster jets will solve the problem. Because if you give the US a faster saber, I'm of the opinion that the US should have the best sabers. We're the creators, aren't we? I mean, that's another thing I have a problem with. Why do the other nations get the better sabers? The F-30, the F-40. Granted, the F-30 was never really a Japanese plane.